Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your research and, well, turn it into a conversation, you know.
Yeah.
Today, it's Haiti's drug trade. You've given us so much material.
Wow, yeah,
Seems you really want to get beyond just the surface level stuff.
definitely. It's a fascinating but complex topic.
Right. And one thing that jumped out at me was that Haiti isn't really producing drugs.
Exactly. It's more about moving them, a crucial link in that whole global supply chain.
Okay, so our mission, if you will, is to take all your research, pull out the most important parts, and make sure by the end you're super informed.
It's about getting to the heart of the matter, understanding the why behind everything.
Love it.
Yeah.
Now, something that really struck me was just looking at a map of Haiti. Over 1,500 kilometers of coastline. It's incredible.
Imagine trying to patrol that. It's nearly impossible.
Right.
And then you add in all the islands, the hidden coves. It's like a smuggler's dream.
It's so different from, say, the Dominican Republic, right?
Yeah.
Sharing the same island, but much tighter security. So Haiti's geography, well, beautiful, makes it really vulnerable to these international cartels.
Yeah, and this isn't new. To really get it, we have to look back, especially at the Duvalier regimes.
That's what I'm curious about. I know about the dictatorships, but what was their connection to the drug trade?
Well, the Duvaliers, especially Papa Doc with his Tonton Macoute, they created this atmosphere of fear and corruption.
Right.
It wasn't just about silencing opposition. They were turning a blind eye to anything illegal, drugs included.
So they basically built the foundation for these criminal networks to flourish.
Exactly. And that legacy, that distrust of authority, it lingers.
So even today, people might see working with traffickers who offer resources as a viable option.
Especially with such widespread poverty, the research says over 60% of Haitians live below the poverty line.
That's a staggering number.
It is. And then you read about someone like Marie, a single mother, barely surviving, offered money just to store drug packages. Makes you realize the impossible situations people are in.
Her story really highlights the human cost, for sure. But before we go deeper on that, who are the main players here?
It's a complex web. You have Colombian and Mexican cartels who've been in the region for ages.
Right.
The Colombians, they've been the big players with cocaine for decades. But the Mexicans are coming up fast. Meth, heroin, even fentanyl, they're diversifying.
And the Haitian gangs, what's their role?
They're the local muscle, you could say.
Yeah.
Controlling territory, handling storage, distribution, enforcing for the cartels.
Embedded right in the communities.
Which makes things even harder.
The research also mentioned corrupt officials like Senator Guy Philippe, even convicted on drug charges.
Oh yeah, corruption's everywhere.
Yeah.
Police, courts, customs, it makes traffickers feel untouchable.
You have stories like Jean-Claude, the fisherman, pressured into smuggling.
It just shows you how easily people get caught up in this, especially if they're desperate.
So we've got this network operating on different levels. But how are they actually moving the drugs? What methods are we talking about?
They use whatever works. Go fast boats trying to outrun the Coast Guard, fishing boats with hidden compartments.
I bet that's nerve-wracking for those fishermen.
Absolutely. They also use planes, land routes through the Dominican border, even people acting as mules.
They're always adapting, always finding new ways.
Right. And the consequences are devastating. Over 1,200 civilians killed or injured in just 1 year because of drug-related violence.
Wow.
Think about the families, the communities. It's heartbreaking.
And it goes way beyond the violence. Public health crises, education disrupted, 300,000 children out of school.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect that touches every single part of Haitian society. The future of entire generations is at stake.
It's a bleak picture. But is there any hope? What's being done to fight this? And is it working?
There are, but it's tough. There are things happening inside Haiti and then international efforts, too.
Right, like the Anti-Narcotics Brigade and the U.S. and UN involvement.
You got it.
But with everything we've talked about, are those efforts really making a dent?
There have been successes, for sure. Drugs seized, arrests made, networks disrupted.
Okay.
But the sources are clear. Corruption, lack of resources, political instability, those are huge roadblocks.
So where do we go from here? What needs to change to really combat this?
It can't just be about catching bad guys and taking drugs. We have to address the reasons why the drug trade is so appealing in the first place.
Which goes back to the poverty and lack of opportunity, right? And the research talked about community-led solutions. What do they mean by that?
It means empowering communities to be part of the solution, not just relying on top-down approaches, which haven't been enough.
I see.
like this group Ida Taimon. They work with kids, offering education, mentoring, safe spaces.
Trying to break that cycle.
Exactly. And those local initiatives, they often understand things outsiders don't.
They're closer to the problem.
Right. And they build trust, which is so important given that deep distrust of authority we talked about.
The research also mentioned technology playing a bigger role. What did they have in mind?
Lots of potential. We talked about surveillance, but think drones, satellite imaging, even AI predicting cartel movements.
Like a high-tech game of cat and mouse.
Pretty much. But could traffickers use that tech too?
That's a good point.
Absolutely. Technology cuts both ways. Traffickers are getting smarter. Encrypted comms, darknet markets, even cryptocurrencies.
So how do we stay one step ahead in this tech race?
We need to be proactive. Invest in tools to analyze blockchains, train law enforcement to follow the money trail in the digital world.
It's a whole new battlefield.
It is. And given how transnational the drug trade is, working together is key.
Right. No one country can handle this alone.
Exactly. The research highlighted regional partnerships. The Dominican Republic, other Caribbean nations, they're all facing similar problems.
Strength in numbers.
Right. Share resources, intelligence, do joint patrols. It makes it much harder for traffickers to exploit weaknesses.
What about the U.S. and other global partners? How can they help Haiti effectively?
The U.S. is already doing some things through programs like the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, but the sources say they could do more.
Like what specifically?
Funding is huge, especially for a country like Haiti with limited resources, but it's not just about giving money.
So what else?
Capacity building. Train law enforcement, judicial officials, provide technical expertise, support those community programs we talked about, and make sure the aid is actually used well, transparently.
So every dollar makes a difference.
Exactly. Accountability is key. And looking ahead, there are new challenges on the horizon.
Like what?
The rise of synthetic drugs, fentanyl in particular.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
It's cheap to make, easy to move, and super potent. A real public health nightmare.
So even if it's not produced in Haiti, it could become a major transit point.
Exactly. And even small amounts can be deadly. It's that strong.
Scary stuff. And the research mentioned climate change, too. How does that fit in?
Climate change messes with traditional agriculture. So you might see more coca or cannabis being grown in new places out of necessity.
So new production areas, new routes, more headaches for law enforcement.
That's the idea. It highlights how fluid this all is. Traffickers are adaptable, opportunistic. Katie has to be proactive.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. Anticipate, plan, and learn from the past. But amidst all this, there's reason for hope. Haiti has a rich history, resilient people, a vibrant culture.
We've talked about those dedicated community groups, the activists, the everyday people fighting for change.
They give me hope. Change is possible. It takes work, long-term effort. But with a shared vision, belief in the human spirit, it can happen.
A drug-free Haiti, it's a powerful vision.
It is. And remember, this isn't just Haiti's problem. It's a global challenge, a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play in demanding accountability, supporting solutions, amplifying those voices, fighting for a brighter future.
Absolutely. Well said. Now let's shift gears and envision what a truly drug-free Haiti could look like and what it'll take to get there. We've spent the last two parts really digging into the drug trade in Haiti. The history, the challenges, and the hope, too.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
Now, in this final part, let's look ahead. What could a drug-free Haiti look like? And how do we get there?
Having that vision is crucial,
Yeah.
right? What are we actually aiming for?
Right.
And the research, it offers some interesting ideas. It all starts with strong leadership. Leaders who are accountable, which Haiti hasn't had a lot of, honestly.
The opposite of the corruption and instability that's been so prevalent.
Exactly. That's the foundation. But how do we get from where things are now to that ideal?
Well, the research pointed to a few key things.
Okay.
We talked about the justice system, the deep-rooted corruption. Reforming that seems crucial. But what does that even mean, practically speaking?
It means creating a system that people actually believe in. A system where they feel like justice will be served.
Yeah.
Invest in training for judges and prosecutors, modernize how they manage cases,
Right.
and protect those who speak out, witnesses and whistleblowers.
So it's not just about having laws written down, it's about making sure they're applied fairly to everyone. And what about the police? We talked about them being under-resourced and the corruption within the force. How do we tackle that?
We need a professional police force, one that's accountable for its actions, better training, proper equipment, modern technology, but also a change in the culture, a culture where corruption is simply not tolerated.
And you mentioned a culture shift needed in Haitian society as a whole, too, right? Not just within the police.
Absolutely. It's about empowering citizens to hold their leaders accountable.
To demand better, basically.
Exactly. And to be involved in shaping their own future. That's where those community-led solutions come in.
So moving away from that top-down approach towards something more collaborative.
Exactly. Make citizens active participants, not just passive bystanders. But to make real change, you got to address those deeper problems too.
The poverty, the lack of opportunity, the inequality.
All of it. We can't just focus on law enforcement and courts. We have to address the reasons why people turn to the drug trade in the first place.
And that brings us back to economic development. But what kind of development are we talking about? Just any jobs isn't enough, right?
Right. We need jobs that pay a living wage, offer benefits, a chance to move up.
Real opportunities.
And education is huge. Every child deserves a quality education, no matter where they come from.
Education empowers people. It can
Yeah.
help break those cycles of poverty that make people vulnerable.
Exactly. And healthcare that's accessible. People shouldn't have to choose between their health and basic needs.
Right.
We need a safety net that allows people to take risks, chase their dreams, contribute to their communities.
To feel supported.
Yeah.
And I imagine entrepreneurship is part of this too, right? Creating a climate where businesses can thrive.
Absolutely. A strong economy, a diverse economy, it lifts everyone up, not just a few. And when people have a stake in their community's success, they're less likely to resort to illegal activities.
Success breeds success.
I like that.
So ultimately, a drug-free Haiti isn't just about getting rid of drugs. It's about creating a society that's fairer, more just, where everyone has a chance to succeed.
It's a huge task, but the research shows it's possible.
Other countries have done it.
Right. And Haiti has this incredible history of resilience, of fighting for something better.
Like all those community groups, the activists, the everyday people we talked about, that dedication is really inspiring.
I agree. It gives me hope. Real change is possible. It just takes time, commitment, and that belief that things can get better. A drug-free Haiti, it's a vision worth striving for.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and I encourage you to keep learning, keep exploring, and keep engaging with this critical issue. The fight for a brighter future, for Haiti and for all of us, requires our attention and our action.